Good evening, I'm Stephanie Seacos. It's Thursday, October 23rd. This is CTV News at 6. Tonight, hitting the picket lines. Part-time faculty at 2 universities in Halifax are on strike. Then navigating the trade war, why New Brunswick is one of the top 3 provinces impacted by the ongoing tariffs.
Well, it was great to get the wet weather this week as rain chances really drop off this weekend through early next week.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Stephanie Seacos.
Thanks for joining us. Todd Battis is off tonight. Part-time faculty at St. Mary's University have walked off the job just days after instructors at Mount St. Vincent University did the same. Both groups say they've been negotiating for nearly a year with little progress. And as the standoff continues, students are left wondering how long their semester will be on hold. CTV's Hafsa Arif has the story.
For the second time this week, part-time professors in Halifax have put down their lesson plans and picked up picket signs. Roughly 150 instructors at St. Mary's University are now on strike. They're asking for higher pay, job security, and fairer contract terms.
It's unfortunate it canceled one of my classes, so it's going to set us behind. I'm being patient, but if it lasts too long, then it's going to affect my studies. So
some are missing key courses tied to their degrees and worry that a long strike could derail their plans.
I'm going to have my bio canceled, and I'm a bio student, so it's going to affect my second and third year, because I kind of have a prerequisite course for it, and it's going to be canceled. And without the TAs, I can't have my labs done.
Mount St. Vincent University faculty walked off the job on Wednesday. Students are wondering how long their semester will stay on hold.
They shouldn't have to be fighting so hard to get paid a fair wage. I'd like to be in class. I'd rather be in class learning stuff. But now I can't do that because my prof's on strike.
I have a midterm coming up in one of the classes that's on a strike. It's supposed to be on Tuesday, but I don't think we're having it anymore. And and I'm also kind of upset because we're still paying the university.
Some even say if the strike drags on, they expect compensation.
They have to refund us if our classes are not gonna go smoothly.
Faculty members at St. Mary's insist they don't want to be out here, but after a year of stalled talks, they feel they have no other choice.
And as much as it's, a speed bump for them, really, through the course of our negotiations with the university, all we've gotten are no's.
Both St. Mary's and Mount St. Vincent will continue having classes taught by full-time faculty. But for many students, large parts of their semester remain up in the air. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
And a reminder, for more on this story, you can visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Questions remain on how New Brunswick will navigate through the United States trade war. It has now been crowned one of the provinces most impacted by the tariffs. CTV's Laura Brown has more.
We need to know where we stand.
Derek Nyber says job losses have started in the Canadian forestry industry, mostly out west and in the central region. But the longer a 45% tariff on Canadian lumber drags on, New Brunswick could start to see those losses too. And he says that should be enough to keep it a top talking point in Ottawa.
Why are you not saying our name publicly anymore? Because we are feeling a whole lot of hurt, just as steel and aluminum is. And I will say, we're on Team Canada in forestry. We do not, I am personally treading very carefully not to be seen to be fighting the auto industry. Like, this needs to be about Team Canada.
For New Brunswick, the stakes are high. The industry is worth almost $1 billion to the province, and the U.S. makes up 80 to 90% of its exports, which is why New Brunswick has been crowned as one of the top 3 provinces impacted by the ongoing tariffs, according to a report by CIBC.
This is a huge industry, so to say that we're going to be the hardest hit of the top 3, I believe it. I have the largest, one of the largest, I should say, Grand Lake timber in my own riding, and I can tell you there's concern.
If financial institutions are concerned about the vibrancy of New Brunswick economy due to potential losses of economic activity associated with the forestry sector, they have good reason to think that.
New Brunswick's natural resources minister says the province's industry has built itself up to weather a storm like this, but for how long?
That the forestry sector in the province of New Brunswick have made a number of investments over the years to maintain their level of competitiveness. So it's a strong sector. What we need is a trade deal.
We also need our government to reassure us by continuing to talk about our sector in the same breath as those other sectors.
Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Nova Scotia signed an agreement with Ontario today to share information and expertise around nuclear power. But when it comes to power, the Liberals say Premier Tim Houston should look closer to home, calling on him to strike up an inquiry into Nova Scotia Power. CTV's Jesse Thomas explains.
Just hours after Ontario and the federal government announced they would spend $3 billion to develop small modular nuclear reactors, Ontario's Energy and Mines Minister joined Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston in Halifax to sign a memorandum of understanding, agreeing to share information and expertise around developing nuclear power.
It's clean, consistent energy. We should. I don't think we're at a point in our province and certainly in our country where we just say no. We're not interested. We're interested.
And by doing it first, there's lessons learned for the second and third and fourth. And I think that's what I'm hearing from Premier Houston is really embracing those lessons to de-risk, reduce costs, and maximize the benefit for the province and for Canadians.
Houston stressed Nova Scotia is nowhere near developing nuclear power capabilities here, but believes the province has the uranium resources to support nuclear power generation, adding there's no interest from industry to mine for it at the moment.
We don't have any active projects for uranium. I don't want to set off any hysteria today, any kind of crazy headlines or anything, but it's a resource we have.
Earlier this week, Houston shuffled his cabinet and named himself Energy Minister, saying it speaks to the importance the energy portfolio means to the province. The Liberals argue the first thing Houston should do as Energy Minister is call for an inquiry into Nova Scotia Power to examine future generation plans and the cybersecurity attack last spring.
If the Premier truly wants to lead on energy, leadership starts with taking responsibility and with listening to Nova Scotians who are paying more and getting less. This is about rebuilding trust, improving accountability, and making sure our province is ready for the energy transition ahead.
Nova Scotia Power is proposing to increase power rates by nearly 8% by 2027. Houston has said he'll intervene in that rate application, arguing against it. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
There's a live look at Barrington Passage from Cape Sable Island, where it is a mild 14 degrees right now. Let's get our first look at the weather, and for that we go to CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell. Certainly looking different tonight than what we were seeing last night around the region.
Oh, very much so. There were some thunderstorms in the vicinity of Barrington Passage in the southwest of Nova Scotia at this time yesterday. In fact, a few of those thunderstorms, of course, made it to other parts of the Maritimes, including in around the Halifax area later in the evening. Heard them thundering in around my house. Taking a look at rainfall reports around the region, this weather system, as expected, was very streaky with the amount of rain it brought in. There were a number of areas that finished in the range of around 2 to 10 millimeters, but because of the presence of those brief downpours and brief thunderstorms, there were some spots that did finish with some locally higher amounts, including some totals climbing up to or even just in excess of the 20 millimeter mark. There were a couple spots in that for areas in Nova Scotia, including reports in around the Halifax area, the Truro area, a few parts of the Annapolis Valley, a few parts of the North Shore, including in around New Glasgow, and parts of Prince Edward Island as well, with Charlottetown area reporting about 30 millimeters of rain. These are the type of rain events we need. We've had about 2 of them this week. We need like 2 or 3 of them a week over the next several weeks to really make up for some of the drought conditions. And I was happy that we had a couple rain events this week because the rain chances really drop off through the end of this week and the upcoming weekend. They even remain low into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Looks like an area of high pressure will be in place, but start to rise in the Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Looks like that high pressure could give way to a low pressure system beginning around then. Now, if you're heading out this evening, you're heading out to temperatures right now that are mostly sitting around the low to mid-teens for the region. There's still a bit of a breezy south and southwest wind. Winds are being sustained in a lot of cases at 15 to 30 kilometers per hour. Higher than that at this hour at the St. John Airport, sustained near 44. And there's some gusts between 30 and 40. Winds will continue to get lighter as we make our way through tonight. There are a few showers on the go. A couple of showers have developed, and they're in the vicinity of the Annapolis Valley right now. A few of them could drift towards the Minas Basin, Cumberland, Colchester counties. There's a scattering of some showers showers around New Brunswick and a chance that one could pass through the west of Prince Edward Island. But as we move through this evening, those showers will be coming to an end. And I'll have more in the forecast when I'm back later on. Stephanie.
Thanks, Keelan. We'll see you in about 15 minutes for that. Hundreds of children in New Brunswick are facing long waits for essential dental surgery, with some waiting up to 2 years. This is prompting urgent calls for action from parents and the province's only board-certified pediatric dental specialist. CTV's Josh Smith with more.
In New Brunswick, complex dental procedures can turn into a prolonged nightmare. Over 300 children are currently on a surgical wait list.
It's not great when we are not able to get the operating room time and privileges that we need to be able to treat children properly.
Dr. Tom Rattle is the province's only board-certified pediatric dentist at this clinic in Moncton.
As the only specialist, I get referred a lot of complex cases, children that are too young. The other neighboring Atlantic Canadian provinces like Newfoundland, Labrador, and Nova Scotia have multiple of me.
Dan Richard says his daughter Thea would have had to travel hours to get surgery.
We would like to be able to have our procedures done here locally in Moncton or even Fredericton or St. John, but it seems like there's no OR time at all in these hospitals.
This New Brunswick family says the extended delay in receiving care is devastating as they watch their child suffer while waiting for this medical procedure.
Well past a year, almost 2 years now. Her front tooth was chipped by a playing accident. She said it before that, she doesn't like to smile now because of her tooth.
The province's health minister admits there's a strain on resources.
Dental surgeons that need that space are no different than our other surgeons that need space. I am not aware of that particular statistics, but I am not surprised. We need to do better in all our surgical wait times.
Dr. Radall says waiting and pain is just one part of it. Infections, trouble eating, and missing school are also factors. And with families with fewer resources, not getting care locally can force them into difficult choices, like paying big bucks for treatment out of province.
I hope that the province might be interested in looking in alternative like funding methods to get procedures covered in maybe facilities outside of hospitals.
Josh Smith, CTV News, Moncton.
Quite a discovery on Prince Edward Island to tell you about now. 290 million years in the making. This 25-centimeter fossil, found along the shore of Hillsborough Bay by a North Rustico resident, is believed to have come from a pariasaur. That dinosaur was a heavily built, knobby-skulled plant eater that could weigh up to 1 ton. The fossil dates back to Permian period. And according to the PEI Museum and Heritage Foundation, the province's red rocks hold the best record in Canada for that period.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
It may not seem like Christmas outside today, but tree farmers are busy cutting and filling orders for customers around the world. But as CTV's Jonathan McGinnis tells us tonight, one market isn't buying as much as they usually do.
After being measured and graded, these Christmas trees are sorted based on their size and quality. From here, they're bundled up in preparation for shipment. This load is one of 5 heading to the Caribbean island of Curacao. That's a total of 4,000 trees.
We've been shipping there for a while. It's part of what we do.
Tree grower Colin Hughes is grateful for the long-standing relationship. Asia is another important market along with the United States, but that's where Hughes has concerns.
We have a lot of American customers that decided that it was too risky to buy from Canada this year.
There are no tariffs on Christmas trees right now, but the potential is there for a levy to be added on at any moment.
Everybody's scared to death that once they put their orders in and everything's in transit that, there's all of a sudden going to be a tariff come out of nowhere and that bites in their profit, right?
As a result, Hughes estimates he'll take about a 40% hit this year. All of this on top of a drought-filled summer that is causing additional concern.
The trees are dry. But we're doing everything we can. We got them in the building here. We're keeping them out of the sun. We're keeping them out of the wind. We're keeping them cool.
All before they're loaded onto a container ship in Halifax for the 3-day trip to their island destination. Stephanie, we saw the trees heading off today for southern markets. Colin Hughes says he'll start cutting trees for the local market towards the end of November. Stephanie.
Thanks, Jonathan. CTV's Jonathan McGinnis reporting in New Ross, Nova Scotia. Halifax Water will begin infrastructure upgrades on the Windsor Street Exchange at the same time as the city's construction project in 2026. The Nova Scotia Regulatory and Appeals Board tentatively approved the plan and requires the water utility to report an updated estimation of the total costs. Halifax Water estimates the project cost $66 million, and the work could increase customer bills by $19 in the first year and by $30 in the second. Earlier this year, Halifax Council approved the Windsor Street Exchange project, which comes with a $150 million price tag. The project will wrap up sometime in 2028. Still to come, clear, but temperatures cooling off tonight. Kalen returns with his full forecast. But next, playing their part.
Our goal for Canada is to double our non-U.S. exports.
As Canada looks to expand its trade beyond North America, maritime ports are looking to get in on that action. That's next. Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney has pledged to double non-U.S. exports over the next decade. It was one of many points raised by Carney during a pre-budget address last night. And maritime ports say they are ready to play their part in plans to diversify Canada's trade. CTV's Avery McRae explains.
It's a quiet day in the St. John Harbour. If the Prime Minister's pre-budget address is any indication, days like this will soon become fewer and fewer.
Our goal for Canada is to double our non-U.S. exports over the course of the next decade, generating more than $300 billion more in trade.
Canadian ports will have to play a big role in making that goal a reality. In St. John, Port CEO Craig Bell Estabrook says they are ready.
We're extremely well positioned. Again, with the transatlantic trade, we'd love to get into the Indo-Pacific, Trans-Pacific trade as we can accommodate larger vessels into the future.
A slew of recent upgrades around the harbor, strong partners like DP World, a soon-to-be open cold storage facility, and rail improvements into the area are a few reasons for the CEO's confidence. But there is still more that can be done to maximize the flow of goods.
We want to continue to make investments in those assets because in some way, shape, or form, we think that'll untap even more economic activity.
New Brunswick interim PC leader Glenn Savoy says New Brunswick ports, including the one in Beldoon, have done great work in the last 10 years to prepare for this moment.
There are ports around the world that can easily link up with our ports in St. John and Beldoon. I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention the port in Bayside as well. That is an opportunity area for us to be able to export more products.
The Port of Halifax isn't just any port. It's Eastern Canada's super hub.
The Port of Halifax released a new promotional video today outlining its role in trade diversification. It highlights the port's infrastructure, capacity, and close proximity to the other side of the Atlantic compared to other eastern ports. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
Still to come, Steve Murphy drops by with Murphy's Logic. But next, we'll look at what we can expect over the weekend weather-wise. Kalen will have all the details when we return. There's a live look at Fredericton right now, where it is still a fairly mild 12 degrees out there at this hour. Just seeing some cloud cover there this evening. Certainly different. I still can't get over just how drastic of a change from those downpours we saw across the region last night to now. Tonight, very different story.
It is. Now, there are some clouds and a few showers making their way across New Brunswick this evening, but that's going to be coming to an end as we move through this evening, and after that, it's going to be clearing for the remainder of the night. This is going to be one of the clearer nights we have had in the Maritime so far this week, so I wanted to start off with a couple things you could see in that night sky a little bit later on. One thing you're not going to be seeing much of, the moon. It's waxing crescent moons, 4% illuminated. It'll be below the horizon throughout the night. A couple of planets are viewable, though. Saturn will be already up and sort of above the eastern horizon. And Jupiter, if you're up late, will be rising above the eastern horizon near and after midnight. Really interesting, there is a comet. It's Comet Lemon. It is visible just above the western horizon after sunset, but you need binoculars to get a good look at it. I've had a couple people who have some really good photography equipment. They've sent some pictures of that comet to me. It's best to catch it right after sunset because it is setting towards the northwestern horizon, so it's down by around 9:20 p.m. If you miss that tonight, it should still be around for tomorrow night as well, and we do have some pretty good night sky viewing conditions for tomorrow night in the Maritimes as well. Now we're going to go from a clearing sky here to talking about an update for an area that's seeing some very troubled skies, and that is down in the Caribbean. This is Tropical Storm Melissa. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. It is starting to increase in strength and organize itself as well. It's in very favorable environment right now. Warm ocean waters, relatively light winds to continue to strengthen. It's a really big concern for Jamaica as well as potentially eastern areas or western areas of Haiti. And one of the issues with the storm is, well, there's a couple of them. One, it's forecast to become a major hurricane, Category 3 and then Category 4. But it's also very slow moving. And so this weekend, even though it may not make a direct landfall into Jamaica through the weekend, it's likely to be close enough to really bring in a lot of heavy rain. Talking about rainfall amounts 150 to over 300 millimeters, bringing the risk of life-threatening flooding and mudslides. And additionally, it looks like that storm system could still be grinding its way past western parts of Jamaica, even into the start of next week. So it could be a prolonged severe weather event for that country. Now back here in Canada, there's a big storm that's coming in towards parts of coastal BC. There's a series of rainfall warnings and wind warnings that have been issued there. Pretty quiet in through the prairies, generally a mix of sun and cloud. Off towards eastern parts of the country, there is some rain, some showers being reported in parts of southern Ontario as well as southern Quebec. Montreal right now, some rain sitting at 10 degrees. 13 at Fredericton right now, as we saw, a mix of sun and cloud. 15 at Halifax, 16 at Charlottetown, and right now 14 at St. John's. Taking a look at our timeline, here's what's left of those scattered showers present around the Maritimes. You can see they kind of fade off the map as we move later in this evening towards midnight. The overnight hours mainly clear, but with the possibility of some fog patches developing. Now, any fog that is around will be dissipating as we move from Friday morning into Friday afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon around the Maritimes, mostly a mix of sun and cloud. There will be a chance of showers in Cape Breton. Low temperatures for tonight, falling into range around the mid to high single digits for many areas. A little bit milder for a few parts of Nova Scotia, especially around the Atlantic coastline, 10 to 13 there. Highs in northern New Brunswick for tomorrow, 10 to 14 degrees, with central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures between 12 and 15. Your high temperatures for Friday for Prince Edward Island, 14 to 16 degrees. In Cape Breton, you can expect high temperatures tomorrow of 14 to 16. If you're on the North Shore and the Eastern Shore, high temperatures as well. Look like they'll be right around the mid-teens. Northern and central areas of Nova Scotia with high temperatures, again, 14 to 16 degrees. The Annapolis Valley with highs near 16. And on the South Shore of Nova Scotia, high temperatures 15 to 17. Winds a little bit lighter for the region tomorrow and a little bit more westerly as far as their direction goes. For New Brunswick, it is cooler weather for the upcoming weekend forecast, looking partly cloudy on Saturday and then cloudy periods for both Sunday and Monday. Sunshine in the forecast for Tuesday of next week. Wednesday, a mix of sun and cloud, and then a chance of showers on Thursday. And for Nova Scotia in the forecast, sunshine to start the weekend. On Saturday, looks like a very pleasant day. It will be cooler on Sunday, though, with highs around the high single digits and low teens. A mix of sun and cloud on Monday, still cool. Sunshine in the forecast for Tuesday, then a mix of sun and cloud Wednesday, before chance of showers on Thursday. And finally for Prince Edward Island, a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday, highs near 12 degrees, cooler on Sunday with highs near 10. Cloudy periods in the forecast for Monday and Tuesday, over to a mix of sun and cloud on Wednesday, then a chance of showers on Thursday. Stephanie.
Thanks, Kaylin. We'll check in with you later for the wake-up weather. But next, we'll talk about what's behind declining math scores and what can be done to improve the situation. And we also have this story.
Hey everyone, it's Morgan Tony here. I'm so looking forward to getting on the Yarmouth for Nova Scotia Music Week. We're up for 5 nominations. We're so excited. We'll tell you more about it after the break.
All right, join us tomorrow, Friday. We're back with some more keywords for $5K a day. Your chance at that $5,000 starting at 7 a.m. Plus, we'll give away $100 in groceries.
We'll also have passes to the Discovery Center's Halloween party. It's 19 and up with a Fear Factor challenge. Good luck.
We've seen math scores drop in recent years across Canada, but what can be done to help? Canadian mathematician John Mighton, known for his work to support children's successful math education, will be in Halifax this weekend at the Research Ed Canada Conference at St. Mary's University. He joins us today from Toronto. Thank you for speaking with us, John.
Thank you.
So before we dive in on how to make math more fun, can you tell us how are Canadian students doing in math?
Well, we've been slipping on the benchmarks, international scores and so on, and provincially, quite often scores are going down or flat. So unfortunately, in spite of all the efforts, we aren't making real progress, I think, in math.
And so why are we seeing a decline there?
Well, I think it's because we're not really following the science of learning. In reading, for many years, people ignored phonics. They were persuaded, teachers knew phonics worked, but they were pushed away from that by various fads and gurus. And the same thing has happened in math. We're not really following the science of learning that really tells us how kids learn math most efficiently.
So what are some ways that teachers or even parents can make math more engaging or easier to digest?
Yeah, and so those are two good questions. So a lot of people think, well, hide the math, do anything you can to make kids feel it's interesting or engaging so they have success one day. So you might do a project on skateboarding and math or whatever. But the research shows, in the real solid research shows that the best way to generate engagement is to give kids success. If they're successful in any subject, it becomes a kind of self-reinforcing and virtuous cycle where they just want to do more. There's an article in Nature Communication called the 85% Rule for Optimal Learning. We're happiest and our brains work most efficiently when we've almost got something. We're about 85% proficient, but we have to stretch ourselves a bit. And that's the zone students love to be in, and unfortunately they're not being kept in that zone. So the key to engagement is success. And then the key to success is really breaking things down into manageable chunks, like keeping kids in that 85% zone, having very well scaffolded lessons for teachers so they can make sense of the math. And as kids get stronger and stronger, you can let them struggle more, you can let them do more independent work. But we have to treat kids like novice learners. Novice learners are different from expert learners. And so the best way to play chess isn't just play the full game over and over. It's start with mini games where you learn how to move a piece, and then gradually increase the complexity. And the research shows hands down that's the best way to learn. And that's why the Research Ed Conference that's happening this weekend is so exciting, because teachers got tired of being told to do things that had no evidence and didn't work. And so they started a movement around the world where they invited top researchers in cognitive science, in psychology to come and speak for free so they could learn about how to implement those principles in their classrooms. So, teachers are really driving this, and it's a very exciting conference.
And of course, John, we all learn differently. How can we in this day and age with a single teacher in these large classrooms get the kind of training needed to become a success in math?
Well, here's the odd thing is in math, I can't speak beyond math, but we actually learn we're more the same than different. I'm a mathematician. I still need things broken down into manageable chunks. I still need to practice. I'm just very fast because I've developed a lot of long-term memory and connections in my brain. And we can't mistake people who look like that. It doesn't mean you have to be born with genius. You can develop that through intensive training and practice and good teaching. So we can all learn math. We have a lot of evidence of that in jump math. We've done studies where we showed we can equalize the classroom. But you have to start at the right point for kids who are struggling. You have to quickly bring them to grade level. You have to build their confidence and make them feel that they can participate equally. And then you have to help them make sense of the math and make connections, make discoveries, but they need guidance. It's not going to happen for the vast majority of kids without the guidance of a good teacher.
And tell us about Jump Math, what that stands for. It's something that you founded more than 20 years ago now.
Yes, it's a charity, a Canadian charity, and JUMP is Junior Undiscovered Mathematical Prodigies, because we believe that almost every child can learn math at a high level, and we do have evidence of that. And we're now working with universities and school districts to give teachers the support they need so that they can help all their kids realize their really remarkable potential in mathematics. people think, oh, I'm either a math person or I'm not. That's just nonsense. We have to drop that. There's evidence suggesting math actually should be the most accessible subject for everybody if it's taught well. There should be no barriers in mathematics, and I don't know how we've managed to create this culture where people think math is hard or inaccessible.
And you yourself, you've had to overcome what you've referred to as massive math anxiety. How did you do that, and what do you say to parents and kids about this?
Well, the weird thing is I almost failed calculus at university, and I read these letters by an American poet. I was into poetry and writing, and it was, her name's Sylvia Plath. It was, she taught herself to write by training. She wrote imitations of poems. She memorized poems, and I didn't realize you could actually train or practice or do something to develop an ability in an area. So I did that in writing, and I eventually got a career in playwriting. From almost zero talent, I had the lowest mark in my creative writing class, as well as almost failing calculus. So I learned that I could train myself, and then in my 30s I went back into math because I was always fascinated by math, and I started tutoring some kids. One of my first kids was in a remedial grade 6 class. His mom was told he could never learn math. He was just too challenged. He's now a fully tenured math professor. So I started seeing these remarkable changes in children who didn't appear to be able to learn math just by giving them a bit of extra support and help. And that changed my life because I thought maybe I could go back and do math, seeing these changes in the kids.
And John, you touched on this a little bit. Aside from being a mathematician, you are also a playwright and best-selling author, and you even have quite the connection to the movie Good Will Hunting. Tell us about that. You were supposed to be a consultant on it.
Yeah, I was supposed to be the consultant, but through a series of miscommunications, they hired someone else, and I think the director felt bad, so he put me in the movie. And one day I was on set, and Stellan Skarsgård, one of the actors, said, "Do you want some lines?" And we started improvising, and the director liked it, and so they let us do quite a bit of improvisation, and the writers liked it, the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, so it was really fun to work on.
Well, we will have to leave it there for tonight. Thank you so much for your time, John.
You're welcome. That was me in the background being jealous of Matt Damon's character. Yeah,
that's excellent.
And that's how I used to feel about math. I didn't feel it was really accessible. It was just beyond me. And kids shouldn't feel that. They should feel they could do anything.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was Canadian mathematician John Brighton. We'll take a short break now. Much more to come after the break.
The opinions expressed in this segment are solely those of the commentator. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of this station, CTV News, Bell Media, or its employees.
Tonight in Murphy's Logic, Steve has some thoughts on what happens when a provincial government has a supermajority and how it affects debate in the legislature.
Most people don't pay much attention to what goes on in their provincial legislature unless or until it affects them in a way they don't like. About the only part of the daily proceedings that gets any attention is question period, where sparks sometimes fly in a way that makes for good TV or clickbait. And that's too bad. Although the process of making and passing laws can be tedious, somebody once compared it to making sausage, but I digress. It is both important and valuable. It creates not only a forum for critical analysis and debate by members of the opposition, it also provides a rare opportunity for members of the public to let their opinions be known in committee hearings in time to effect real change in the laws being proposed. That's particularly important when a government has a large majority and doesn't require the consent or the support of the members of the opposition to do anything, as is the case in Nova Scotia. Tim Houston's Progressive Conservatives have a supermajority. With more than 2/3 of the seats in the legislature, the government can change the House rules without the support of the other parties. Now, again, that may sound like more inside baseball stuff, but it profoundly affects the actual function of democracy. A good example can be found in the most recent and most brief session of the Nova Scotia legislature. It was only 8 days long and highlighted by a cumbersome omnibus bill that changed several laws in one fell swoop. Premier Houston says it was efficient, but such productivity at the expense of thoughtful analysis and debate and public scrutiny isn't in the public interest. which needs to remain the mission and mandate of our legislatures, even if the public isn't always paying attention. I'm Steve Murphy.
In the Lifeline tonight, the connection between mRNA vaccines and how they're helping some cancer patients. CTV's Amanda Debison has more.
The most widely used COVID-19 vaccines may offer a surprise benefit for some cancer patients by boosting their immune systems to help fight tumors. Research reported in the journal Nature found that people with advanced lung or skin cancer lived longer if they received a Pfizer or Moderna shot within 100 days of starting a type of immunotherapy. The mRNA in these vaccines appears to enhance the immune system's response. Now, researchers are preparing a more rigorous study of the potential connection to see if mRNA vaccines should be deliberately paired with cancer drugs called checkpoint inhibitors. A new study is shedding light on a major source of burnout for Canadian doctors: increasing amounts of paperwork. The study, shared by RBC, consulted about 500 physicians over the summer. 72% said non-clinical administrative work was a significant driver of workplace exhaustion. 77% said their administrative workload was reducing the time they can spend with patients. The research follows warnings from the Canadian Medical Association that 2/3 of doctors are spending more time on those tasks than they did 5 years ago, driving demand for innovation and streamlining of paperwork. Finally, if you want to keep adding candles to your birthday cake every year, get a leg up. Numerous studies over the years have said the more physical activity a person does, the better the odds of having a longer, healthier life. And it appears that's especially true for older women, according to research released this week in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. Findings there showed elder females who walked at least 4,000 steps at least once a week lowered their risk of death by 26%. If that threshold was met 3 times a week, risk of death by any cause fell by 40%. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
Time now for The Scene. As we mentioned last night, Nova Scotia Music Week kicks off today in Yarmouth, and all eyes are on one artist in particular. As Katie Kelly shows us, Cape Breton's Morgan Toney leads the pack with 5 nominations.
There will always be 2 sides until we heal the divide.
So you released Heal the Divide earlier this year, and I think things have been going phenomenally with that, right?
Oh, yeah, it has been a phenomenal tour, a great record. It's one of my favorite records of all time, and we have been working very hard, the 3 of us, the Morgan Toney Trio, just promoting that album. It's definitely 2 steps up from the previous albums we recorded. The production was crazy. I often listen to it when I'm at home just to hear everything, because you can really hear every single instrument when you're listening to the album. The fiddle tunes are even more crazier now. They're getting a little bit more difficult. I'm really scared to what the next album's going to sound like because of that. But other than that, it's just a great album if anyone wants to hear some great Celtic music, but also Mi'kmaq music, because we have the Mi'kmaq and the Celtic music blending together, right? So it's definitely a really cool album to listen to.
Awesome. So you, Ryan Roberts, and Keith Mullins, right?
Correct.
Yes. Awesome trio. 3 amazing musicians. And did I see on your Instagram that the album is kind of like shortlisted for a Grammy?
Yes, we're we're shortlisted right now, which is amazing. I'm so excited. We're not nominated yet. Well, hopefully things turn out well. But to even have our name in the pool of other amazing artists, other Canadian artists, it's just amazing for us. And we're really looking forward to see what the next steps are. If nothing happens, great. We'll try again next year. But to have our album shortlisted for a Grammy, it's amazing news for us.
That's huge. Congratulations, Morgan.
Thank you.
This is also a huge weekend for East Coast artists like yourself heading to Nova Scotia Music Week. And you, my friend, are the top nominated artist this year with 5 nominations. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, I am feeling so great right now. The three of us are feeling amazing. And we always look forward to coming down to Music Nova Scotia Week because there's so many amazing artists around. It's unbelievable. They're right there. And we're so looking forward to go checking out some showcases and just to spend time with some old friends, make some new friends, and hopefully start the conversation of collaborating because, man, amazing artists over there. So I'm really looking forward to getting down to Yarmouth. Looking forward to hopefully get to see you, Katie, and the amazing team down there. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Heal the divide.
Mornings with Crash and Sarah Betts.
What's lying around your house that you wish you could just throw away? Tired of looking at it. We'll talk about that tomorrow morning.
Plus your last day to qualify for a gorgeous gift from Spicer Cole Fine Jewelers.
On the markets, the Dow ended the day up 144 points. It's earnings season. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has the latest numbers from Ford, which was affected by a fire at one of its key suppliers.
Ford reported a profit of $2.4 billion U.S. for its third quarter. That's double what it made in the same quarter last year. The company is seeing strong sales of trucks and SUVs, but a fire at a key aluminum supplier could cost Ford as much as $2 billion. They rely on the metal to build pickup trucks. Ford is revising its earnings outlook as a result. It now forecast to be $6 to $6.5 billion. That's $1 billion less than what it was. And car sales helped to drive retail sales in August. They were up 1% to just over $70 billion. Sales of cars and parts moved up 1.8%, with more new vehicles being purchased than used. But gas sales were down in August. They dropped 2.6%. Rogers Communications beat expectations for its latest quarter. The company did well in wireless and media. Total revenue came in at about $5.4 billion, up 4% from last year. Rogers gained 62,000 wireless subscribers, and in media, the Blue Jays' extended season helped to boost its bottom line. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up a fraction to 71.49. West Texas Intermediate crude shot up over $3 to 61.79. Western Canadian Select also gained over $1, moving to 46.10. And the TSX gained 203 points today, moving back up over 30,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
Time for one final look at the forecast. Let's go to Kaylin on the weather deck.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Pretty pleasant evening out here. Still a little bit of a breeze, though. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. This is a very fair autumn picture. This is sent in by Edna Moorhouse from Miramichi, New Brunswick. You see those nice little puffy cumulus clouds and that blue sky and fall colors, of course. I want to thank Edna very much for taking the time to share that picture with us. Nice day for Miramichi. For tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud. High temperature near 14 degrees. Pretty quiet start to the day across the Maritime region. A little bit of cloud cover around, some patchy fog first thing in the morning, but fog patches will be dissipating as we make our way into the afternoon, which will be mostly a mix of sun and cloud around the region, though with about a 40% chance of showers for communities in Cape Breton. High temperatures tomorrow, mostly low to mid-teens for New Brunswick, then near the mid-teens for both Prince Edward Island as well as Nova Scotia. Stephanie.
Thanks for this, Kaylin. Finally for us tonight, some wild video as an unexpected guest caused some bedlam at a wine bar in Wisconsin yesterday. This deer made quite the entrance, smashing through a window and making her way into the wine bar. Obviously spooked, she eventually leaps over the bar, startling the employees inside. She then manages to leap back over and find her way out through a patio door, and she left a trail of destruction along the way. The deer didn't appear to be injured as it ran away from the bar. Oof. That will do it for us tonight. I'll have our next newscast at 11:30. But for local news anytime, visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. It's your home for news. Thanks for watching tonight, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 6.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.